Okay, so this video is going to be a demonstration of exercises for case number 1 from chapter 14. The patient is a 35-year-old computer programmer with pain on the right side of his cervical spine, his posterior shoulder, and he has complaints of arm pain. We're going to go through the max, moderate, and minimum protection phases. Okay, so in our max protection phase, the first thing I'm going to do is teach my patient a chin tuck exercise or chin retraction. So I'm going to fix their posture first, have them sit up nice and tall, relax the shoulders, and I'm going to cue my patient to move the chin straight back. So retraction, good, and hold for 5 seconds, and then you can relax, and we'll repeat that 10 times. Now this exercise helps maintain a neutral posture, good correction, and this should be maintained during all of the exercises that you do with your patient. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is scapular isometrics and scapular retraction. Okay, so we're going to make sure that our patient is sitting up nice and tall. Okay, I'm going to cue him to move his shoulder blades together and down in an angular form. So if you can squeeze those shoulder blades down and together for me, we're going to isolate the rhomboid musculature and relax. Okay, so I want you to do that again. I want you to bring the shoulder blades together and down. Hold for a count of 10 seconds for me, and we'll do that 10 times. I'm watching to make sure that his shoulders aren't coming up and they're staying nice and level. Okay? Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is a pec stretch. So I'm going to have my patient get to a corner or a doorway. I'm going to have them place their arm up against the door frame. So I have the arm at about 90 degrees of abduction, and my elbow is also flexed to 90 degrees. I'm also in line with the frame. I'm going to step forward with my opposite leg, so my left leg, my right arm is up against the frame, and I'm going to lunge forward, and I should feel a stretch in the pec area. Okay? So why don't you come and demonstrate for me? Okay. So arm at 90 degrees, left foot forward, and lunge forward. Do you feel a stretch in the pec area in the front of the chest?
Yep.
Okay, good. So I'm going to have my patient hold this for 20 to 30 seconds, as much as they can tolerate, checking in to make sure they don't have any tingling or numbness while doing this exercise. And then take a break. We'll do this 2 to 3 times on each side would be beneficial, but we know that this patient has right-sided symptoms, so we're going to focus on the right side for now. Okay, so we're moving on to the moderate protection phase. We are going to start with prone scapular retraction exercises to strengthen our periscapular musculature. So we're going to have our patient in a prone position. We're going to have the arms at 90-90, and what I'm going to have my patient do, I'm going to have you again retract those scapula, so bring them together and lift your arms up off the table for me. So both arms at the same time. Good. And I want you to hold for 5 seconds and then come back down. How did that feel? Was that easy? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's have you do it again, but holding for 10 seconds. So lift for me. Good. And hold. Count to 10. So I'm monitoring the patient's scapular position, making sure they're not compensating by elevating their shoulders up. Okay, and you can relax. I'm also going to check to again make sure they're not getting any tingling or numbness symptoms with this exercise. Okay, the patient also demonstrates weakness in the rotator cuff measured by external rotation weakness with our manual muscle test. So we're going to do strengthening with a TheraBand. So by placing a bolster between the trunk and the arm, while the patient does this, they can squeeze to keep the elbow at their side. This has actually been found to increase the activation of the rotator cuff. So I'm going to have my patient start in a neutral position, then I'm going to have them pull away from their body into external rotation. Good, and come back to the starting position. Go ahead. We'll do 3 sets of 10 of this. Again, checking to make sure there's no tingling or numbness with these exercises, and progressing the resistance of the band as needed. Okay, I will also be continuing to focus on stretching out the pec musculature. Being in a supine position, you can allow gravity to help with the stretch, and this may be a little bit more intense than a doorway stretch. So that is why I waited until the mod protection phase to do this exercise. So I have my patient laying supine on a foam roll, but I also have them low enough so that their head is being supported by the foam roll. So I'm going to have them abduct their arms out to the side. So if you want to bring your arms out to the side for me, I'll have them hold it here for 20 seconds. They should feel a stretching in the pecs in the front of the chest. Do you feel a stretch with this? Okay. Again, I want to let them know that there is the potential for tingling and numbness in this position. It's actually quite common because it's an aggressive stretch. So I'm not going to hold this position for too long. Now I want you to elevate your arms a little bit higher for me on both sides. Doing okay? Okay, again, we're going to hold this for about 20 seconds. And then after 20 seconds, we're going to come down a little bit lower, again, to get different fibers of that pec muscle. Okay, moving on to the minimum protection phase, we're focusing on return to function and athletic activities. This patient is a computer programmer and plays tennis. So we're going to incorporate the body blade to get a more dynamic strengthening exercise. So I again have my patient's arm at 90 degrees of elbow flexion at his side, and I'm going to have him go into internal and external rotation to get the blade to move. Okay. This will be challenging because it's a more dynamic exercise. And to make it harder, I can have him go in a diagonal pattern with the body blade. So move up and to the right. If you can, trying to keep that blade moving. And then down and towards your left hip. So going in a diagonal pattern with the body blade while still focusing on that internal and external rotation. So the last exercise that we're going to do is going to incorporate diagonal patterns and making it more challenging while sitting on a stability ball. So I made sure that the height of the ball is appropriate, so my patient is at a 90-90 position for the lower extremities. And with a TheraBand, I'm going to have him go out and up to the right, and then back down to the starting position. As with all the exercises, the patient is going to have their chin in that neutral position, in that chin tuck position, while doing the exercise.